Hello everyone, welcome to ADRA's podcast, While on Earth.
Happy, efficient and productive.
I'm very passionate about young people.
Currently leading the disaster risk management unit of our
Overnight is a long process.
Hello everyone, welcome to While on Earth, the podcast run by ADRA. My name is Prabuk and I work for ADRA. With me here is a good friend of mine. We have met in many parts of the world. Mr. Prakash Thakur.
Hi, Prabhu.
Who are you?
Well, I'm Prakash Thakur, that you know by name, but I work for ADRA Germany as a program coordinator, and I'm also like the DRM unit lead, currently leading the disaster risk management unit of ADRA Germany. I have been like working with different organizations before coming to ADRA, like Save the Children UK, World Vision, CASA, and working with ADRA Germany since last 12-13 years almost now. But also I have worked 2 years with ADRA India.
So you've been with ADRA for about 14 years then?
I would say a bit of a 15 years now.
Having fun?
Having great time,
Quite a
good
bit,
learning
huh?
opportunity.
Okay. Tell us, Prakash, what are you passionate about?
If I see my from the professional side, yeah, I'm very much passionate about the preparedness thing.
Okay.
Yeah, something that you anticipate, that you predict, and you prepare for something that you expect to happen. Yeah, like
Right.
the natural disasters. So I'm more into the preparedness side, which actually helps you to save lives, better strengthening your better coping capacity to any such events. You prepare yourself to protect your family, your community, the country. So it's like, yeah, that is where I'm very much passionate about, like getting into the community system, strengthening the system, being part of that system, you know, to strengthen their capacity to respond to also in such emergencies. So be it like man-made, be it like the natural disaster. So that is something that really brings me quite closer to the community, because it's about saving lives.
So it's more like disaster preparedness, right?
I would say it's a disaster preparedness, because we see both the context here, yeah, man-made as well as the natural, and since the end consequences is the disaster. So
Right.
yes, it is disaster preparedness.
Are you more passionate about organizational preparedness or community preparedness?
I'm passionate about both. When
Right.
we talk about the organizational preparedness, I mean, community itself is an organization. Yeah,
Okay,
in an
if you take
organized
that.
way,
Right.
or in a not an organized way. And when we talk about the community, it also has a lot to do with the local authorities, the local government, which is very much organized setup. And when we talk about the organizational setup like ADRA, we are part of that community also somewhere. We are closer to the community and we are for the community. So I'm into a mixture of both, because somehow I think I feel, and also it's a trend, and it's also in principle we have to work together to achieve something that we call a preparedness. A better prepared community can have a better coping capacity, better response capacity, and saving lives and assets and other things that is related to the human lives.
So why do you think the community needs ADRA or any other organization? Can't they prepare by themselves?
Traditionally, I think there are a lot more mechanisms that exist in the community, not in a structured way.
Right.
But these days, with the new technology, with new system, new practices, I think it's very much essential, because this natural disaster is growing rapidly. The coping capacity, you know, the limitations, community has a limited capacity in terms of early warning, in terms of preparing, in terms of having those resources. And these resources actually is something that, when I say resources, it's not only about having some hardcore items, but it also a lot more about the knowledge. Yeah, tapping and using those existing knowledge, indigenous knowledge, and linking that with the technology, the science behind it. Probably that would have more positive impact than what traditionally it used to be. So that is the reason why I think it is very much essential for us to be with the community, work together and prepare together.
So some of our audience, actually I'm expecting that most of them might not be actually necessarily from this area of expertise, might not be ADRA staff or members who are part of the ADRA network. What is this when you say technology? Maybe if you can break it down a little bit more. I mean, is it related to early warning? What are the different types of technology that we use to know about disasters?
I would say, I think starting with the early warning, because that is the core of the disaster response. These days we talk a lot about anticipated action.
Right.
where you anticipate based and then you activate yourself based on those early warning that you receive from different sources, how to analyze those early warning, how to react to those early warnings, and how you, see, the preparedness starts with the household level, community level, and then larger community level, and then it becomes a district or whatever governing system that you have. So there is a system, there is a process flow. And now since we are so much into, the internet, the mobiles, and all those things that actually act as a very good tool in terms of communicating, in terms of sharing information, in terms of building capacity, in terms of predicting and analyzing those predictions or the early warning in a most accurate way, probably, and that is the technology that I'm talking about. But at the same time, when it comes to the response mechanisms, it has evolved and changed over the period of time. So now if you see that the starting with the evacuation, I think post-disaster responses, if you see starting with the evacuation, I think that the kind of equipments that is being used, the kind of professional trained people that actually come to do those tasks, and the kind of even like the minimum standards, the specifications that we use in terms of providing assistance to people after the emergency happens. Yeah, so I'm talking about this technology that has to come together, that has to inbuilt with the existing system to act better way.
So the whole purpose is to avoid a disaster, right?
Not avoiding disaster, minimizing the impact of the disaster, minimizing the consequences. See, there are hazards everywhere, risk everywhere. Potentially not all hazard bring disaster. Yeah, or potentially not all disaster may bring the significant impact. The core of the disaster preparedness is to minimize the risk, to mitigate the risk, and minimize the loss of life, loss of assets, loss of other things that is related to the normal functioning of the community or the individual household.
I know that you've been working on this topic for quite some time actually. Do you have any successes, any case studies that you can share here?
I think there are some good examples that we get, especially from India. I would say even from Indonesia. I think these are some of the countries which actually face lots of natural disasters over the period of time. Like in Indonesia, I think they have over 4,000 natural disasters in a year.
Wow.
So they're always busy in responding one after another. Like in India, I think over the period of last few years, they were really able to minimize or mitigate the loss of life. Like they have a very strong early warning system, especially related to cyclones, where they can really predict well. They can really have a very strong communication system in terms of early warnings. Early warning is not only generating information, but make sure that the last mile coverage, the last people also receives these messages and act upon it. And to act upon it, there has to be some kind of systems, processes that everybody follows, and it comes through lots of preparedness, lots of processes, lots of trainings, the drills, and that is something that I could see, like the provinces like Odisha in the state, one of the state in India, they is one of the state which is much more better prepared in terms of cyclone responses, and over the period of time I think they have brought it down, the loss of life, significantly because of this preparedness. Now even the level 4, level 5 emergencies, when it comes, they already know, they predict it so well, they evacuate people so early on time, they provide the required assistance to survive during the crisis period so well that really has a positive impact in terms of minimizing the risk and the loss of life.
You mentioned anticipatory action and you described it a little bit while you were speaking, right? What have you been doing in this area?
Anticipatory action, it sounds like a new word these days, a rocket science like, but it's not. Yeah, it's a part of the overall disaster preparedness altogether.
Right.
When we talk about the DRR as such, it has like the preparedness, prevention, mitigation, and anticipatory action is a part of it. Yeah, any action that you do in anticipation of any emergencies before it actually occurs, based on the most authentic early warning, it's an anticipatory action.
Right.
Which means it's an integral part of the disaster preparedness. What we are doing as an ADRA currently is we are piloting a couple of projects in different countries where we are trying to generate some evidences on how the anticipatory action needs to be integrated into the existing disaster management plan. How we strengthen the early warning system. When I say strengthening early warning system, is basically linking different service providers with the early warning system so that they receive on time and act on time. Developing protocols and guidelines to respond to or activate the anticipated action, which means like it's kind of an SOPs where everybody is aware of the functions, systems, processes, and the responsibility to act upon. And the fourth thing that we are interestingly doing is, in ADRA, we have a very interesting tool called NEMP, National Emergency Management Plan. That's a pre-approved entry-level emergency response tool. We are also trying to test it to see that can this existing tool be used in such a way that it can be used as a part of an anticipated action or as a part of post-disaster response. We already have a strong evidences in post-disaster response, but we just want to see that how making minor twisting or minor adjustment in the existing tool can be more useful to be used as an anticipated action as well. So these are some of the things that we are piloting. We are closely working with the government of Indonesia at the province level on this, so that we generate some evidences hand in hand to see that how effectively it works, based on which we would like to make some recommendations. Especially we want to use these tools also as a part of an advocacy where we promote integration of anticipated action into an existing disaster management system, so that the communities, the organizations, and even the local authorities are prepared to respond to any emergency based on early warning, even before it happens or even after it happens. So that is something that we are trying to test and see. And so far it is giving a good result, where we do some drilling exercises along with the government. Anticipated action is something I think we as a humanitarian organization, we have very specific limitations. We have a very limited resources. We'll not be able to reach larger community, when it comes to providing response. But when we talk about the government, the local authorities, they have a huge resources. So if it gets integrated into their system, probably we will be able to reach a larger community who are at risk. So that is the reason why we really want to generate some evidences to be tabled for a discussion, advocacy, and influence the decision and policy makers to integrate as an integral part of the emergency management or the disaster management. And this is something that we are trying to test in Indonesia. Another important aspect that I would really like to highlight here, Prabhu, is how you ensure, there are some disasters which doesn't give you lots of time for preparing. Like the cyclone, probably 3-4 days earlier you get the early warning. Flood, same. How you want to make sure to have efficient and effective response in terms of targeting. Whom are you going to provide this humanitarian response before even the disaster happens? What is the accuracy that you're talking about? So what we are trying to test here is also, this larger social safety nets, social security schemes that available within the different governments that covers the most vulnerable population who are always at risk. So they're at risk from the poverty perspective, they're also at risk from the disaster perspective. So trying to see that integrating this database into an anticipated action to see that how this could be actually channelized through these mechanisms where you already have data. Of course, there is a risk of the data protection, but at the same time, how while meeting that requirement, how you can integrate this and see the efficiency and effective in terms of response within the stipulated time frame that you get. So all these things we are trying to test, pilot, and see, and based on the results that we get, we would definitely like to have a dissemination across ADRA network and also with other agencies, including the governments that we are working with.
Wow. When you go to the communities, are they generally open to participate in this type of activities?
Yes, because they see it beneficial for them because they have experienced lots of disasters. And when we start digging out those histories, how they have reacted, what was their response, what kind of support they have received, and when we discuss all these things, probably I think they quite relate to this and they feel this is number one priority for them.
Right.
Because we are talking about saving their lives, saving our lives together.
Right. Okay. Do you want to share anything more? Did I miss out anything through my questioning?
I would say as an organization, I think we need to be better prepared. We need to continuously revise our plans. When I say plans, it's more related to disaster management plan that we have, and considering the different changing context frequently, and also working together with the new trends, new technology that is coming in, where everybody is focusing on, and probably I think we need to work together hand in hand. We need to try new things, we need to test new things and adapt as per the changing context. That is something I think I feel very much essential, and that is how I see this anticipatory action also. Because so far in ADRA Germany and also ADRA network across, we are so much good at responding after disaster. Now this anticipated action really helps us. Not only is saving lots of money, yeah, that actually you need after emergencies, but probably if you provide anticipatory action response to the community, probably that also helps in saving money, that also helps in saving the lives, and also that strengthen the community's coping capacity during that particular time frame when the situation is very much critical. Yeah, first 7 days, first 10 days, when the most essential humanitarian life-saving support is needed. If their community already have such support received before it happens, then probably that really strengthens their capacity to cope up with the situation.
Wow. So how can I put this? When in terms of funding for anticipatory action, so as you mentioned, we are trying to reduce the impact, right? Many times the whole disaster response funding comes through appeals, through the knowledge of the impact, through pictures. How do we get the funding for anticipatory action? Because you don't have the pictures, you don't have the impact, you don't have the event. Who is funding this? How can we mobilize funding?
See, the government, I would say, the government who really spends lots of money after emergencies, after the disaster occurs, yeah, they also see this as one of the tools which actually helps them, not only saving their community, saving their people's life, but also minimizing the investment that is needed after emergencies.
Right.
Yeah. So I think now the focus is also rapidly changing towards this direction, because disaster management or disaster preparedness has to be an integral part of your development plan. And now anticipated action being a part of the disaster management plan, automatically trying to address some of the core issues that we are discussing here. Yeah. So I think a lot more the bigger donors, institutional donors, even the different governments, they want to focus on this direction and providing some kind of allocation. Like if I give an example from Germany perspective, the German Federal Foreign Ministry, they have identified anticipated action as one of the core area, and they really are investing a lot of funding to work with different humanitarian organizations, with the different governments, to see that to develop early action protocols or anticipated action protocols, so that you already have a guidelines, SOPs and protocols in place. If there is some early warning that you receive, then you already have something to act on immediately. So money is available. It's all about how you analyze your risk around, yeah, and how you focus on building the capacity of the existing system, so that they can be quite fast in terms of reacting to those early warnings. Yeah, I mean, it starts with strengthening from the system, early warning system, guidelines, protocols and everything, including your response plan. But as a humanitarian organization, we have a limitations, as I said earlier. So it has to go together, and it has lots to do with the advocacy with the local authorities.
Right.
Because once you are able to make them understand the need of it, there would be money available even locally, because this is everybody's need.
Right.
Yeah, this is the need of the government, this is the need of the civil society organizations, this is the need of the community.
Right.
So what we are also trying to do in terms of advocacy is how, while integrating this anticipated action into existing disaster management plan at the provincial level, is there any provision where provincial authorities can allocate some funding?
Right.
Starting with the testing, piloting, and then gradually growing it, because that is what actually helps you to save lives in a better way.
Right. Right. So my third and final question, Prakash. If you had a superpower, what would it be and how would you use it?
I would again link it with my passion.
Right?
Yeah, the preparedness. So probably if I have a superpower, I would like to predict all the disasters well in hand, so that I can contribute more in saving lives, more and more lives.
Wow.
Yeah, because that is something that, of course, like the earthquake, we cannot predict.
Right.
Yeah, and there are like even the conflict settings, which is very difficult to analyze and predict. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we have a very good technology now for cyclone, for flood, but still there's a huge gap. And probably if I have that superpower, probably I would like to address this one.
The prediction.
The prediction.
Thank you very much for being on the show, Prakash. It's been really good to have you here, and hopefully you'll make time to come back and speak about something more technical again.
Hopefully by then we will be having more generated evidence from this pilot projects,
yes,
which we would love to share.
Very good. Thank you very much. And to all our viewers, please subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode. If you have any questions that you would like us to ask our guests, or topics that you would like to see us discuss, write to us and be tuned for more. Thank you very much. Here's me saying goodbye to you.